Might not even need rebar.
I think it,
Just leave it like that.
do it on its own. Start flipping out of that one.
Take if I'm good enough. Okay. Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. Today, one of our fisheries crews are stocking Florida strain largemouth bass fingerlings here at Lake Thunderbird. Now, we've learned a lot about where Floridas do best in Oklahoma since the 80s when we first began this program. Now, luckily, the northern boundary of where Floridas do best in Oklahoma is about our I-44 corridor, which means all the lakes south and east of I-44 are on a heavily managed stocking schedule. Who knows, one of these fingerlings may just grow up to be a new state record largemouth bass. A wildlife department that understands a thing or two about growing and producing heart-racing big largemouth bass. Just another reason to love Oklahoma and the adventures that await you.
Yeah, we don't need that one.
My name is Kenny Smith. I've been out in Noble for about 21 years now, and we've had the outdoor ed program for about 7 years. So we've been running between 70 and 90 kids every year in our outdoor ed class. Today we're doing Dutch oven cook-off. Have about 60 kids participating. The kids love it. They bring their own food. They have their own recipes. We watch a lot of Kent Rollins YouTube videos, which are awesome, and they enjoy that. And then they bring their own food and cook it up.
We have oil, powdered sugar, and our batter, and then we're trying to find our Oreos.
We don't know what happened.
You kind of look guilty. Did you eat them?
So we typically set up the competition for about 10 groups, 10 to 12. Today we got about 12 groups competing. And honestly, we tell them it's a competition. Most of the time we say, you know, there's about 3 or 4 that are really, really good. And we'll tell them that they've won the competition.
Are they better now? Are they cooked? No score. Yes, sir!
Gumbo has done really well. We've got some jambalaya today. Those are typically really good. The deer chili is always, I mean, we'll make 20 pounds of deer chili, and the kids enjoy making that. It's easy to make, and we can feed a lot of people, and it's usually really, really good. We've got other teachers that'll bring their students out here. We'll have between, 100 and 150 kids out here total throughout the day.
You're right. That's your left.
What you're eating here, and tell me why.
What am I eating, honey?
Fried Oreo.
Fried Oreo. It's amazing. It's awesome.
What's that?
Oh, yeah. That right there will make you do the dance, I tell you what.
just trying to get kids involved in the outdoors and doing things outside. Thank you, Bo. Appreciate it, man. Uh, just getting kids involved in the outdoors, off their cell phones. I mean, if you notice today, very few kids are on their cell phones. They're all involved with their group. If we don't do it, I'm not sure that a lot of these kids have the opportunity to go with their parents. They don't camp. They may not fish. They may not hunt. But here, we do all that. We hang tree stands in class. We score deer racks at the end of deer season. So we're really involved with the outdoors, and we just bring that to the classroom every day.
It seems like you got a lot of fans, and they come up and
Yeah, sure. They all want to. That's the thing. Well, maybe they can video it.
I will have to back there, so it's part of
Right. You guys might get 5 seconds out of this.
Before I moved here to Oklahoma, I lived in a kind of small-ish town called Cleburne, and there's a really good breakfast place called the Huddle House. And my favorite item on the menu was called the loaded hash brown. And so they asked us what we're gonna make, and the first thing that popped in my head was loaded hash browns.
I was teaching American West, and so we started out, we do a lot in the 1800s, and obviously the Dutch oven was key for pioneers that went west. I mean, you can bake in it, obviously you can fry, you can basically cook anything in a Dutch oven. And so we used that in our American West class, and that class was about 30 kids. And, I went out and bought some Dutch ovens. I said, hey, let's try this. I was using them for camping and hunting anyway, and I had 3 or 4. I think we're up to about 15 to 18 Dutch ovens now. I was like, why not just go ahead and do it in class? And administration has been awesome. They said, yeah, go do it. That's fine. Not a problem. And so, we've been doing this for 15 years now, and we hadn't had any issues. And administration's always really supportive in allowing us to do this in class.
All right, tell me what you guys just made.
Pizza.
I don't know.
Pizza pockets or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Something like that.
What do you guys think?
It's really good, actually.
We thought it was gonna be bad, but it's really, really good. Better than I thought.
Man, I'm feel so awkward right now.
How's it feel?
Outdoor education is not required. We have, started with about 30 the first year, and now we're into 2 classes, and it is about 75, 85, sometimes 90. During COVID, we actually had an online program. It was up to 150. But the kids enjoy it. It's growing every year. And, we do a lot of outdoor activities. And, kids know that we're going to take a field trip to Blue River, and they're going to get out a day of school, and they get to go trout fishing. So, that's obviously a big bonus in Dutch oven cook-off. And, we'll process deer in the shop. We process wild pigs in the shops.
I bet you that stuff there so get everybody from here to say then Tone's gonna line up for it.
The fried Oreos, really good. We've never had those done. The monkey bread, we've never had done. Those are both really, really good. I thought the Reptis tortillas, those are phenomenal. And we have several kids that, have no concept of the outdoors because they're not exposed to it. And I think, we had kids that went to the Blue River 2 weeks ago that had never been fishing, and they went out there and we spent a half a day out there trout fishing. And I know that, that they've never done that before. And there's a lot of kids that, would never do that on their own. And I think at least introducing the outdoors to them, especially in Oklahoma. You gotta love this state.
Yeah, born in France, as you spotted with the accent. Grew up in a family that was interested by guns and hunting. My dad was a family doctor, but always liked his guns. So I grew up around guns, and a good friend of my dad, Michel Bernet, was a gunsmith in a little town close by us, and close by us was the northeast side of France, close to the Swiss border. So as a kid, I would be hanging at the gun shop quite a bit, and probably by the age of 10, I really wanted to be a gunsmith. I thought it was fascinating, and so I was shooting at the time quite a bit, and to support my clay shooting habit, I asked Michel if I could go work for him during the holidays, and he took me on, so I would clean A5 and 1100 Remington and strip them and clean them and do, small work for him, and he would pay me with a 12 gauge shell and a clay pigeon. Like here, you leave high school around 18, and I went directly to the gunsmithing school then. Spent my 3 years, so I was on the job market around 21 and a half. The gun trade in Europe was in peril, mainly because of politics and anti-gun sentiment and gun control and legislation. So I thought, since I truly liked the work and the trade, I thought, probably one of the few countries that was still gun friendly and friendly and had a dynamic trade was the United States. So I sent I think I sent about 30 letters around the United States to custom maker and manufacturer. And the first answer, actually of the 30 letters, I got only 2 answers. One answer was from Champlin Firearm in Enid, and the other was from Packmeyer in California. So I gave priority to Champlin being the first, but I visited them in the summer of '89, and we discussed what it would take and how I would come here, and they started the paper, and in June of '90, that's why I landed in Enid, Oklahoma, and spent 26 years with Champlin. But especially my dad was incredibly happy because he knew that this country still had a future when Europe had not as good a future. And open the TV, read the paper, and Europe have some problems, and they will not soon being dealt with. Somebody that has been used to a gun too short all its life, or to a given configuration, it would be, in my book, ridiculous to say, oh yeah, the books say you need to shoot that dimension. They probably won't hit the broadside of a barn because they are not used to it. But a young shooter or somebody that is moving from one style of a gun to another, I think will always benefit of a good fitting. The average gun I worked on, if I were to put an average date, I'm gonna say probably 1925. So they are bordering on antique, but they are antique that will serve their purpose right now. All these double rifled, you can take a 1920 gun in good shape and go flatten a Cape Buffalo this afternoon. They were well built, and the ones that have been well maintained are totally modern and are able to do the work as well as a brand new rifle.
The way we're fishing today is called European style match fishing. The equipment we use looks a little different to people, and they don't quite understand it. It's used to be more efficient, and it works quite well. Everything's got a purpose. We have telescopic poles that are made out of graphite. They're extremely lightweight. This one's 16 feet long. And for a pole, we have winders made up. we have different floats. This particular float is for extremely still water. This float is submerged under the water all the way up to the red tip. The advantage to this is when you're fishing with a bobber, fish has to pull the buoyancy of the bobber completely underwater. By submerging the whole float all the way up to the end of the float, it requires less pull, therefore you detect the bites quicker and you get a better hook set on the fish. This one's provided for still water. This particular float here is for moving water. And the difference in the float is it has no restriction, no water restriction on the bottom that can push the float. And it pushes from the current on the top, and it pushes the float in the bait in a natural manner and floats it down the water. We also have rod and reel floats. This is called a waggler. This is for windy conditions. You can sink this float all the way up to the orange line. The wind can't hit it, and therefore it sits still in the water. This particular float is for moving water. It's called an avon. You use it with the current, and the current pushes the float at the same speed. You can hold back just a little bit on the float, and that seems to entice the fish even more. Real good fish. That's what we came after.
It's got a great following. Every city in England's got thousands upon thousands of anglers, and they usually go out on Sundays to the rivers or wherever fishing. It's a great participation sport. Here in America, we've probably got more fishable water than anywhere else in the world, when you take in consideration the rivers, lakes, farm ponds, and so forth. And it's plain that they're all well stocked with fish. I mean, I can imagine that there's a good many people in it, good many anglers in England who give their right arm to be fishing at this place right where we're at right now. They just, fishing is at places of fish are at a premium in England because there's so many anglers and such a limited amount of water. So I think we're very fortunate, and I think it's probably underrated, and I've got a fish. This is another one of those grass carp, and it's bigger than the last one. Now then, let's go. See if we can bring you in. I've never caught these grass carp before, but I'll make sure I go fishing for these some more, because they're really a fighting fish. I think they fight better and harder than the common carp. This one won't give up. I wonder if we could get Paul to come and weigh it.
I hope he doesn't flop on us. 7 pounds. 7 1/4.
Well, we hope today's stories remind you that Oklahoma is a perfect place to explore. So no matter how you choose to enjoy our state's incredible natural world, remember, your adventure starts with Outdoor Oklahoma. Oh, you can still see them all schooled up there together. Outdoor Oklahoma is produced by the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation and is proud to serve and be funded entirely by sportsmen and women and outdoor enthusiasts who love and appreciate all things wild in the great state of Oklahoma.